Hi, today we're going to start to look at some of the different options you have in dealing with pages in the site. So this video will focus on page actions. So when you go to the gear or the settings menu, you notice there are several different sections we've talked about previously. This section is page actions, or things that affect one page directly. Second section is working with templates, and the third are options that affect the entire site. So let's look at the page actions in this video. I'm going to start at the bottom because this is probably the simplest one, and this would be to preview page as viewer. And essentially what it does is it strips out the tools and any options that a viewer of the site would not have. You as the owner have more influence on the site, you have more controls, etc. So this is what it would look like. It's not terribly different than the other version. However, this toolbar is gone, and on other pages, if there are links that allow you to do things, those will be gone also. Let's come over to another page. Doesn't really matter which one. Okay, you can see that I've built out a series of pages here that we're going to be using for future tutorials. Most of them are not populated with very much. They're just, they're just there so that we can go through the tasks. Okay, this one for best practices, you'll notice that there is a delete option. This was not available to me on the home page because you're not allowed to delete your home page. Now you can reassign another page as a home page, or you can edit it, etc. And we'll look at how to do those things in the future. But just know that the home page of the site, the existing or current home page, can't be deleted. But pretty much any other page can. Okay, just delete page. It'll ask you if you really want to do it. It'll give you a confirmation box. And when you click delete, a minute or two later, that will disappear. Okay, let's come out to another page. Now, other options would be to copy page. So if I had a page with a lot of content on it, or some formatting or setup that I wanted to reuse, I can simply say copy page, give it a new page. I'm going to put that back as best practices, and copy it. Now, because the page that I'm copying really didn't have any content on it, I don't see it. But if there had been any content here, all that information would appear, and that's really the point of the whole thing, is to be able to save yourself some time. Okay, there's a print page option. That's just going to bring you to a preview and you print dialog box. So that's a simple one. There is subscribe to page changes. So do you want to be contacted when changes are made to this page? Now, if you're creating this Google site yourself, I'd say probably not, because you know when you make changes. But if it's shared and other people have access, you might want to do that. And now it just gives me a little pop-up. So this is one of those things that I don't have to save. I just have to choose. It's basically a toggle. So now I'm going to receive notifications, and if I want to stop receiving them, I have to go back in. The text here is changed to unsubscribe, and I would have to click it again in order to stop getting those notifications. There is a revision history page. And what this is going to show is different versions of the document. And it's going to allow me to revert to a previous version. So if I've made a big mistake on a page and I've lost some of my work, I can go back to an earlier version. And we're going to look at how to do this in conjunction with some of the other commands in just a minute or two. But what I'll do is I'll just use this link in the upper left to come back to the site. Okay, now if I were to want to change this to an older version or revert, the first thing I might do is copy it just in case I want to keep something from this version. So I'm going to copy this, and I'll call it I don't really intend on keeping it forever. I just want to make sure I don't lose anything from the other version when I revert. And that's not likely. Frankly, it's not likely at all, but better safe than sorry. It's an easy process. So I'm going to go to best practices now. And I'm going to go to revision history. And I'm going to say, well, it's version 2. And you can see it shows me what's there, and there's not very much there. It just had the words best practices, and I can compare any two versions. Okay, so this is version number 2, this is version number 1, this is version number 4. And not terribly useful. I mean, it's telling me that there was a deletion and an insertion. It doesn't give me that much information. What I really probably want to do is just click through the versions. Okay, this one is blank. This one has the word best practices in it. Doesn't seem to be much of a change in that version, nor that version. So if I wanted to go back to this version that was blank for some unknown reason, I could just simply say revert to this version. And now I'm back there, and you can see that that text is gone. Now, if I return to revision history, you can see that this is my current version, but it has preserved that history. So I really don't lose anything. I can say, okay, well, yeah, I really wanted that text on the page. I'm going to come back to version 4 and revert to this version. And what it does is it adds it in as an additional version. So now I'm going to have a number 6. Okay, so if you're jumping back and forth, you're not really jumping to version 3 or version 4. You're making a copy of that as a new version. And so if you do that a lot, it can get a little confusing. But it's actually a great tool. It's actually a great thing to have throughout the Google Docs environment or the Google Apps environment, because it does allow you to recover those things. We've certainly had uses for this already as people are getting used to, in my case, doing lesson plans. They forget to make a copy. They revise an old lesson plan. It overwrites, obviously. It's a Google Doc, so it overwrites their old lesson plan, and they need that back. We just make a copy, go back to a previous version, and then I have 2 different versions of the lesson plan, the old one and the current one. So useful tool. The last feature to look at here is the page settings. And in the page settings, you have various options. This is the title. You can see maybe in the background here a little bit. And if I were to uncheck that and save, we're going to lose this. So usually you want the title on, but you don't have to. You also have here for to show links to subpages. So if I nest pages under here, which we're going to do in a little while, if we take a couple of pages and we organize them underneath a page. So I have a page that says resources, and then I have 3 or 4 different pages of different types of resources, and I decide that they're best to be nested under resources. This will show links to those subpages. I can choose to allow attachments to this document. I can choose to allow comments to this document. And I can also give a page description, which is more of a search engine feature. And if I'm working in a limited community of a couple of people, it's not that important. But if it is a more public site, then it's a nice thing to have. You can also change the page template here. So I haven't found this too useful. I usually just create a new page. But if for some reason you've chosen, say, an announcements template and you want to go back to a regular web page, you can just click change and select it here. Okay, let's go to best practices copy. You can see that this has the ability to comment and add files. So I'm going to get rid of that and get rid of the title as well. And you can see now, no title, a very, very simple page at this point. Okay, that really covers all of the page actions that you can do on a page in Google Sites. And we'll come back in our next video and we'll look at site actions, things that affect the site globally.